Hey, you, what's up?
What's up? Hey, welcome to the Game Dungeon. I guess technically this is the Christmas episode. Though, like I said last year, I give up. Christmas has fallen. The only Christmas thing I can say about this game is if you got Gothic for Christmas, then that wouldn't have been the worst Christmas. Yeah, we're looking at Gothic, an RPG. Now, I played this a while back, and at the time, I thought it was pretty good. But since time has passed and I've played other games, I'm thinking maybe I didn't realize just what I was dealing with. Well, we'll get to that. Let's start.
The kingdom of Murtana, united by King Robar II.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares about your fantasy history and the king's lineage and what empire ruled from what made-up year to another. Or I don't, anyway. I don't know who does. I guess someone does, but good news, it's a red herring, it doesn't matter. You're never gonna see the king in this game. In fact, there's only a couple things that matter in this intro. Like, this invading orc army doesn't really matter to the plot either. But it looks dope, so that's fine. They were right to keep that. You're going head-to-head melee with orcs, dumbass. Time to die. Yeah, okay. Orc approved. The orcs pass inspection. Anyway, it matters a little bit to the plot, since the invading orcs mean the king needed magic ore to forge a bunch of weapons. So he started sentencing every criminal for every crime to work in the mines digging up more ore. Yeah, that makes sense.
To make it impossible for them to escape, the king sent out the best magicians of the kingdom to create a magic barrier around the entire valley.
Well, the mages did their job a little too well, turning the mining colony into a magic roach motel. Anyone can enter, but nothing gets out alive, including the mages. Good job. And the prisoners rebelled, since it's not like any reinforcements were coming, and took over the colony. But the king still needed the ore. So we worked out a deal with the prisoners to keep sending them supplies in exchange for ore. So it's a little bit like Escape from New York, except the government really needs the prisoners. That's where you come in. You're just another punk sentenced to work in the mines. Some mage says to please deliver his mail. You say okay. Alright, in you go.
Welcome to the colony.
Man, that sounds like a smoker's voice, huh? Yeah, so now literally everything outside the barrier doesn't matter for the rest of the game. You're in a prison colony, and oh, this game reminds you of it. This is Diego. He's the guy who does not punch you in the face and gives you your bearings.
You should be aware now that you need protection. Everyone who arrives here has a choice. There are 3 camps in the colony, and you'll have to join one of them. I'm here to show the new ones that the old camp is the best place for them.
Yeah, that's kind of like a lot of prisons. Join a group for protection. But what do you have to do to join the group? That's the question. Well, he leaves us, and we're free to run around and talk to more people. Closer. Come closer.
When I was washed ashore, one of the guys punched me in the face.
They do that to all the newcomers. They call it Standing Godfather.
Oh.
Standing Godfather, huh? Reminds me of Time Bandits.
Congratulations. Well done. There we are. Well done. Congratulations. Is that absolutely necessary?
Yes,
What did he say?
he says, yeah, he's afraid it is.
But they won't touch you as long as you pay them protection money.
Oh, protection money. Great. Yeah, and of course you're coming in here with nothing. And we're soon introduced to the interface. It's kind of awkward. You have to hold down the mouse or another key and press a direction to interact with anything. Different directions can do different things. And there's the combat. It's awkward too. We'll talk more about that, but to give you an idea of how awkward everything is, the very first time I played this, I gave up right around here because I was worried this was the tip of the iceberg, and it was going to be endlessly awkward and difficult. Because a lot of RPGs can expect you to know which stats you should be prioritizing, even though you can't really know that ahead of time. And they may have a lot of luck that depend on dice rolls, where you can get irreparably screwed. But after I quit, I thought, maybe I'm being too hasty, and there was something there. So I came back and ended up beating the game. The point is, the systems here are so awkward they got me to quit initially. But that was more from my fears of what I had seen 90s RPGs do to me in the past, and not really Gothic's fault. So it wasn't the tip of the iceberg for pain and confusion. It's just awkward. It also has stuff going for it. Yeah, look, you can do pull-ups. Now this is hardly the first game to let you do that. Yeah. But for 3D games with a lot of verticality, there were not a lot at the time that let you do this. This felt like a complete breath of fresh air. And look at the landscape. This also felt like a breath of fresh air. It still does, really. I mean, yeah, it's pretty polygonal, but you can tell they were trying hard to make this game look good. In fact, when I first played this landscape looked so much more natural than anything I had seen in 3D games at the time. I honestly wondered if the map makers had consulted actual geologists to make this. And the landscape is guiding me, too. This is excellent. See, if I follow this path, I can talk to some hunters, then walk past some guards towards the camp here. But I don't have to do this. Right at the start, I can go up here, cross the bridge, even start climbing the mountain, head down this path, head down this one, walk into the wilderness. As a new player seeing this, especially for 2001, this is fantastic. See, one gripe I sometimes have about open world games is it can be overwhelming, and you won't be sure where to go to get the best experience. What you don't want is to pick a direction, then find you've been spending 20 minutes looking at some copy-paste filler material, numbing you to the rest of the world, feeling kind of aimless, questioning why you're even playing this. Gothic does not do that. So I like how it's lightly guiding me here. And it's not using map markers to follow, it's the world itself telling me. It will keep guiding you too, or the wildlife will especially. See, maybe I shouldn't mess with those giant bugs, or that lizard, or the velociraptors.
I want to warn you, if you continue this way, you'll be entering our hunting ground.
Watch out for their hunting grounds.
Dead ends often lead you to dangerous canyons where you encounter creatures you'd better avoid.
Watch out for dead ends.
Do not enter the old ruins.
Watch out for the ruins.
Don't go into the forest.
Don't go into the forest.
You better not stay here. The orc land starts behind that barricade.
Don't pet the orcs. And it's all true. Everything will kill you. Yeah, see? This is, well, we'll get to that too. Let's head to where the game is trying to take us, the old camp.
Gomez wants some peace in the camp, and we guards make sure he gets it. But it's a job that doesn't come cheap. That's why I'm asking you for some ore. Look on it as a kind of token of friendship.
There it is. Protection money. Yeah, I don't think so. Plus, I'm broke.
No thanks. I can take care of myself.
Have it your own way, kid. You'll soon regret turning down a friendly offer.
And so it begins. Yeah, magic ore is the currency in this game. It was kind of a joke earlier where you find gold coins in a chest since they're useless in the barrier. It makes sense that ore would be the currency since it's constantly being mined and exported. A very active economy in Corinus. And here is where the game really stood out to me. Let's check out this hut. Bam! A guy stops what he's doing, talking with others, runs over, draws his weapon on me, tells me to get out. If you're too slow to leave, he'll just straight up attack you, then rob you while you're incapacitated on the ground. I had never seen something like this when I first played it. I mean, some fantasy games just let you raid people's homes with abandon. Gothic is keeping things real maybe more than any other fantasy game I've played. Even The Witcher kind of takes things too seriously all the time. But Gothic feels 100% on point.
You better know that it's no good getting into trouble with the guards. When they want protection money, you better pay. Otherwise, half the camp will be against you.
Well, I guess I'm gonna have a problem with half the camp then.
It was real cool of you to refuse to pay him protection money. It means we're all gonna have to pay your share as well. I'll make sure you remember next time he asks you.
Oh, for crying out loud. Shit. Yeah, you start off weak at fighting, so you can't take on anyone. All we can take right now are names.
So, here we are, far away from your friend Diego. I'm to send you regards from Bloodwind.
Don't
Damn
try
it.
that again.
Hey, you. I learned you didn't want to pay protection money to Bloodwin.
Oh, come on!
I want to offer you help. You're new here and the new ones always get into trouble. You could save yourself a lot by making a small donation.
Okay, number one, fuck the old camp. I'm not gonna pay the money even if I get it now. Number two, this is probably a losing proposition anyway. Because you heard that guy earlier about needing to chip in extra to pay for others. Plus, who's to say they're not gonna charge you for living in your hut? Or other fees on top of that? This smells like a racket.
I've been working my ass off in the mines for the last 2 weeks. And what for? Some sad lumps of ore is all I got. I had to spend most of it on food.
You load 16 tons, what do you get? Now, I would pay the 10 ore if my only alternative was death, and that is the path of least resistance. But now the game has motivated me more to slit the throats of all the guards and half the camp while they sleep. So this is great. Now I'm extra motivated. See, starting off, we already had 2 motivations. Explore the world and escape the barrier. But now I have a third. Kill half of the old camp. Maybe more than half. And what's great is the game will let me try right now if I want to.
Looking for trouble again?
So you think you're one of the wild boys, do you? Why don't you try it with me?
You want to get whacked?
Not how I would have said that.
If that's what you want.
And yeah, he still kicks my ass. So now we have a fourth motivation. Get stronger so we can finish the job. But that's going to take time. But you know what doesn't take a lot of time? Burglary. Yeah, people only chase you into their hut if they see you. If no one's watching, you can just walk in and almost everyone has a chest with valuables in it. Now the problem is people lock their chests. But lo and behold, I picked up a lockpick earlier. And that's all you need. See, you pick locks by guessing a combination of left and right movements. If you screw up, the lockpick is likely to break, then you're back to square one. But the thing is, you can save your game anywhere, which means you can load anywhere. And the combination isn't random, it's fixed. So you just need to memorize what the left and right combination is, load your game, then pick the lock and keep your lockpick. And once you've burglarized a few homes, you can trade with this guy for more lockpicks to make the job easier. Now, I'm not robbing every home in sight, just the easy ones. Yeah, not this one. This still involves a lot of loading though, that sucks. And believe me, it used to be a lot worse playing this in the 2000s with a slower CPU loading off a hard drive. But even then, it was still worth it. Nowadays, this is called save scumming. I had never heard of the term back then. And if we're being real, this right here is not particularly fun gameplay. Loading constantly. I don't like playing games this way. I prefer not to think about saves. But in Gothic, the payoff really helps. Yeah, in fact, I suspect the game is semi-balanced around doing this. Like, if you were to play the game completely legit and not exploit saves, I don't think the average new player would make it. I don't even know how you would earn enough money. Okay, I guess you could talk to the hunters and make money from selling claws and skins, which I also recommend. But man, that would be a lot of grinding, assuming you know what to do, which a new player wouldn't. I mean, I'm not the authority on this game, so I could be wrong. But coming back playing this with faded memories, I'm not seeing a smooth way to get off the ground in this game without stealing and exploiting saves. Well, maybe if we wanted to suck up, pay the 10 ore and join the old camp. But like I said, we're not gonna do that. And you shouldn't either. Anyway, Night's Fallen I've been burglarizing so many homes. Yeah, look at that, shooting stars. This is pretty damn nice for 2001. Yeah, these are dark nights. They really nailed the color scheme on it. That's definitely the right shade of blue for night, depending on where you are and what time it is. Now, you do have torches, but they're limited, so I'm saving them. Yeah, everything in this game is limited. That's also another reason to save scum the lockpicking here. While I think there are a few hundred lockpicks in the game, if you were to play with no save exploits, I'm not sure there would be enough for every chest you come across. Oh, and speaking of inventory, you have no limits. No size limit and no weight limit. You can pick up everything. And you probably should because money is tight in this game starting off. Yeah, if you're a kleptomaniac, you owe it to yourself to play this game. Your inventory size gets ridiculous later on. You'll see. Well, money is less tight now. 464 ore nuggets. That's a pretty good haul for a level 0 character. And that's just from me stealing from the easy places. Don't worry, I'll really be able to clean up here when I kill everyone later. Yeah, really, if I was trying to bring down the old camp, this is the next best thing I could do. Because everyone is paying the guards protection money. So if the next day, half or more of the camp has been completely cleaned out, that might lead to a riot. Because then it shows the guards aren't even living up to their end of the deal. I mean, I'm not just stealing valuables, I'm stealing food too. Though really, since everyone knows I'm the new guy, and if I show up and everyone's possessions magically disappear the next day, the guards would almost have to pin the blame on me, whether I did it or not. Since this is the sort of thing that destabilizes society. Yeah, in fact, in Gothic 3, even if nobody sees you, if you start robbing towns blind, they eventually come after you and make you pay up.
Stop! More and more of our people's valuables are disappearing. I bet you are responsible for that.
I didn't like that, but that probably is how things would go down. Well, I've done my round of the camp, it's dark out, let's have a rest in someone else's bed, then head out. Now, even though I've played this before, it's been so long, I don't know what to do next. Well, not a problem, because the world will help guide me, right? Well, somewhat. The problem is, for a level 0 character, everything feels a little blocked off. Now, I can take on a few animals one-on-one, but as soon as there are multiple ones, it becomes really dicey. And most of what I'm seeing are small packs. Even fighting the birds can take a chunk out of me in the process. Yeah, damn it. That's how it goes. Thankfully, I can heal up. Look at all this delicious stolen food to choose from. So does that mean I should just punch through these small packs, or try to take one down, then run away and heal up? Yes, it does. Unless you're clueless, you are not going to run out of food in this game. So I should just smash everything I'm remotely capable of handling, even though that's risky, and yes, involves a lot of dying and saving and loading also, but eventually you level up, and this is how you get a foothold. But the thing is, I know I'm not going to run out of food, but a new player might not know that. I've played plenty of games where using items to heal up constantly is reckless and means you won't be able to complete the game. So looking at this through a modern lens, I feel like this early segment here is a bit rough to new players, because they don't have a reference point. Though we'll come back to this. Anyway, we should check out the other camps, and my memory tells me that the way to the new camp is this way. And you can kind of scrape by avoiding the more dangerous animals. Oops, I overshot and made it to the old mine instead. Oh yeah, here's a nice troll move from the developers. Your currency is magic ore. So here's a big load of magic ore just sticking out there. Jackpot! That's gotta be worth at least 50 nuggets, right? Let's start mining it. Yeah, nothing. You could do this all day. You don't earn anything from mining this. Yeah, thanks guys. Well, we make it to the new camp and start chatting up everybody. One of them explains what's going on while his friend plays monkey in the middle. The mages here have a plan to blow up the barrier using a stockpile of magic ore.
They say it won't be long now. At least it looks that way, considering the huge mound that the scrapers have assembled so far.
Okay. Is that it? I'm pressing buttons, nothing's happening. Oh no, come on. Blah! Okay, wait, I did something. I can access my inventory now, but I can't move. I can't even access the menu. Damn it. Yeah, it's bugged out. Alright, restarting and loading a game. Yeah, safe scumming isn't just for fun, it's for your own protection. Now let's talk. I'll try from the other side. He's not talking, he's just staring at me. Okay? What about you? Also staring at me. Yeah, everyone's staring at me like this is Village of the Damned or something. Maybe the new camp's not so cool either. Okay, now named characters are staring at me. I'm gonna quit and relaunch again. Alright, third time's the charm. Back to basic speaking capacity. Yeah, this game was always kind of buggy. I'm on version 1.08K. I have no idea how many total patches there were. I'm guessing more than 8. There have been some community patches too. I tried to patch this up the best I could, but apparently it wasn't enough. Oh, and look! Somebody is giving me shit here too! Except he doesn't want 10 ore. He wants to Shanghai me into working the rice paddies. If you say no, he'll just straight up attack you. Better to just play along for now. Now, at first glance, this sounds as bad as the old camp, but there's a big difference. And that is, the old camp is a small army, but here, it's just 4 people running this operation. See, the new camp is far more anarchic. It's all people or groups doing their own thing. Guys like this are the exception. Well, you know what they say, the tallest blade of grass is the first to get cut. We'll come back to this. Oh, and I've been trying to run this game as authentically as possible. And while I think the fog covering the draw distance is used quite tastefully in this game, you definitely see the shortcomings here in the new camp. I actually think masking the full vision makes the game feel larger and has some merit to it. But not the mountains drawing in. That sucks. Well, you can make friends by helping the cult member hand out joints to the new camp. He has Green Novice, Northern Dark, and Dream Call. I figured this is the camp to join, but I can't make any headway. Damn. I did level up and get some better gear though. Yeah, look at this. Now I can handle multiple enemies and not die. This opens up a lot of options around the map, and that's a constant theme in Gothic. When you level up or get better equipment, it's usually a big deal. In RPGs, I hate having to constantly swap out my gear with something else every 5 minutes because the new thing does 2% more damage. Instead, we're talking a 50, maybe 100% damage increase, way more armor protection. You feel the difference. This feels so much better to me than incremental crap. Oh, and it gets better because your enemies do not level up. Yeah, every single enemy is at a fixed level. You are not. I love this because I want to be afraid to go deep into the forest until I'm really experienced, because I simply can't handle whatever monsters are lurking in there. But at the same time, monsters that were giving me a hard time earlier get easier and easier. This is all so satisfying. But wait, it gets even better. Viewers of this show know that I am not a fan of respawning enemies. Well, guess what Gothic does not do? Mostly. That's right, when you kill an enemy, it stays dead. Okay, a few new enemies will appear after major plot points, but it feels natural the way they do it. It's not on a timer. It's not going to come back 5 minutes after you killed it, making everything you do feel futile. This means areas you've been to get easier to traverse, and it feels like you're actually doing something. That also means there's no farming. Or rather, if you want to farm, then you have to keep exploring, which I wanted to do anyway. It all just comes together fantastically. This game leaves you hungry to level up. Even replaying it now, I haven't felt like I wanted to level up this badly in a game in years. Yes! I can't emphasize enough how satisfying this all feels in an RPG. And this is in spite of the janky combat, or the janky inventory, or the janky swimming. Oh god. Yeah, this is another one of those moments where it feels exactly how it looks. I'm struggling to even get back on the shore here. Anyway, I don't think Gothic is the best game ever. Clearly, I mean, look at this. But I'm struggling to think of another RPG that's felt as satisfying as Gothic in the ways it does. And I'm not completely sure why. I'm gonna start keeping a list of what it's doing, and maybe by the end we can figure it out. But in the meantime, I'm kind of stuck. Since I couldn't join the new camp, I'm running into tougher enemies. Maybe I should check out the other camp. But, it's kind of dangerous to get there. Let's head back to the old camp first.
Hey, you.
Now what?
The time's come for you to prove you're a true friend. Just 10 ore and you're in. What do you say?
Oh, hi, friend. Yeah, don't worry, I'll get back to you. I remember you. Well, the old camp has a few representatives of the swamp camp here for recruiting. So their story is their leader got really high off a bunch of weed and started receiving messages from a god called the Sleeper. It's been sleeping for 1,000 years, and the rest of the cult fell in line, and now they have their own camp. More importantly, he tells us about a guy that can escort us to the camp. And I missed him the first time because he must have gone to bed while I was busy burglarizing half the camp. Yeah, look, here's my old footage. I don't see him anywhere. And it's really worth having him escort you, because he'll attack all the creatures for you, but you'll get the experience. I can really use this help early on in the game like this, but I missed him, and I was trying to talk to everyone when I wasn't robbing them. Stuff like this is a tricky balance, because new players really benefit from talking to this guy, and knowing an escort from him is an option. If it's too obvious, it feels in your face and too gamey. But if it's like this, then even though I thought I was talking to everyone in the camp, I still missed him. Now, some people like how Gothic doesn't hold your hand, and I mostly do too. But if I'm actively looking for help, then it's nice being able to find it. But yeah, as for the cult, according to that other guy, the Sleeper is now the only true god, and everybody needs to start renouncing the old gods and shave their heads. Because if they pray hard enough, the Sleeper is going to awaken and lead us to freedom. So you better get on the right side of history.
So listen, all those who join the Sleeper will have immortal souls, but those who are against him will be punished. But the Sleeper is compassionate and sends proof of his might to all who doubt him.
Now, I'm not saying this is going to be another Jonestown. I'm saying this could be another Jonestown. And here we are at the swamp camp. Let's talk to people.
Hi, I'm new here. The Sleeper be with you. Is everything all right, pal?
Well, the first thing you notice is this is weed central. There are hookahs and people smoking joints everywhere. There's also harvesting and processing of weed.
The weeds have a tranquilizing and relaxing effect. They help you concentrate on the essentials and increase your awareness. We trade them for goods from the old camp, and we use them to recruit new people as well. The result is, of course, that some people only join us for the weed.
Yeah, but you knew that was gonna happen.
The Sleeper be with you, stranger.
Totally.
The Sleeper guides the way, but an infidel like you wouldn't understand that.
Oh, all right.
How's it going?
Since I've become one of the chosen protectors of the faith, I feel better than I have ever done before.
Sounds pretty important.
You're an infidel. You don't understand.
So I hear.
I'm the guru of the swamp. My servants call me Bonnet Beck.
Servants? I don't see any servants.
They're everywhere. The trees, they walk and skip and dance.
Well, you have a groovy day.
Here, take 3 rolls of swamp weed. It's Northern Dark. Good stuff. You can have more of it every day, but if you want more than your daily ration, well, you need to pay.
Okay, so if you join the camp, you get 3 joints of weed every day as part of your rations. You can still smoke more than that, but then it costs extra. Now, I'm sure some people are watching this and thinking, that's it, you're in. This is the camp for you. I can respect that. I did like one questline involving you relaying messages to a guy who left the old camp.
If you meet him again, tell him that he was dumb to stay there. It's 10 times better than getting harassed by the guards in the old camp.
Yeah, he is dumb for staying there. Fuck the old camp. Really, this is probably the safest camp to join out of all 3. It's also the worst camp to rob. Nobody has any chests in their huts.
We do not have much, but what we do have, we share with all who are willing to listen to the Sleeper's teachings.
Yeah, they're not kidding. Damn. Well, I respect it, but I don't think this is the camp for me. Partially because I wouldn't want to live in the fucking swamp. I mean, I guess this is a fantasy game, so we don't know if there are mosquitoes, leeches, typhoid. And I do like their Ewok-style huts, but I'm not convinced. Let's get out of here. So I want to join the new camp, but I can't remember how. It sounds like I have to join the rogues, but this guy won't let me talk to their leader. So what do the other rogues say?
What do I have to do to join the camp?
Go out into the fields and help the peasants collect the rice.
Okay, so I still have to deliver water to 12 workers. This is tedious and annoying. What the hell? Now this is starting to feel like an MMO. I thought this was skippable, but maybe not. Alright, fine. I delivered the water.
I think this is exactly the right task for you. From now on, you do it every day. Go on with it right now.
Oh, now he wants me to do it forever. Of course, this is classic management right here. But it gets better because after I leave and come back, he's pissed I haven't been working forever and he'll cut me down right where I stand. If I try to run, he kills me. This is a problem because I'm still too weak to take him on. But he's completely blocking the only exit from the new camp. For a moment, I thought I was screwed and trapped here, ruining the entire game. But if you walk along the edge here, he won't detect you and you can get by. There's another way around this too, which I'll get to later, but the fact that doing something like this is literally your only option to not get permanently screwed at this point in the game based on the decisions I've made is really illustrative of the kind of design present in Gothic. Often this game is completely sensible and has great design. Other times it's essentially balanced around you exploiting it. It's weird. I think stuff like this is part of why it has a cult following. But we're making progress. I have leveled up enough to get the bow. I really recommend the bow, though it's complicated. Yeah, in fact, let's talk about the combat. Okay, first off, I mentioned how it's janky. You do have to hold down a key and press directions to swing a sword, but that's only a little awkward. That's not the core problem. It also has auto-targeting. That's not a big problem, but it can make things a little awkward also. Especially when you decide to change targets, then it can get ugly. But that's still not the main issue. No, what makes the combat so damn awkward in Gothic is the responsiveness. Usually, your first attack goes off without a hitch, but everything after that is a guessing game. Usually, you can't input new swings until the old one is finished, but it's not always clear when that is. Sometimes it's quick, sometimes it feels more delayed than it should be. There might be a method to the madness, but it always feels like a guessing game if when I press a button, will my character swing his sword? Sometimes he will, sometimes he won't. There is a time pattern to it, but it also feels like there are just ghosts in the machine here. There's a lot of little subtleties too. For example, say I'm backing away from an enemy and I want to switch from the bow to the sword. Best I can tell, that's impossible. I can only do that if I'm standing still and not being attacked too badly, or else running forward. And remember earlier when I was talking about killing one enemy then running away? That's not easy either. If you get into a melee fight, you can almost never run away without taking a beating first. You're lucky to even get out alive sometimes. That's because backstepping doesn't get you far away enough. The lock-on system is slow to let go of your target, so you have to slowly rotate away, then run and hope the enemy doesn't disrupt you too much in the process. Oh, and the enemy AI likes to flank you in packs. Anything more than a one-on-one fight is always dicey in this game, unless your stats are way better than the enemies. Okay, now let's talk about the bow. The bow comes and goes as being your best friend. See, if we start off, look at this. I'm firing arrows at the enemies, but they're not doing a damn thing. What the hell? Now, I don't know what the code is doing, but I suspect there are two things going on here. The first is, I think your hits get more accurate the more dexterity you have. This reminds me of Morrowind, where you can hit an enemy dead to rights and it counts as a miss. I hated that crap there, I hate it in Gothic too. But I think that's only part of what's going on. The other part I can't prove, but it really feels like there's some invisible hitbox the arrow is aiming for. And sometimes it misses, even though it comes into contact with the enemy model. So I don't understand what's happening, except that bow combat is janky like everything else. But it is also your friend, especially as you level up. At least for a while. You've already seen how dicey melee fights are. Wouldn't it be great if you could just shoot the enemy before they got close to you? Yeah, it would be. Look at these goblins. They would tear me apart in melee combat right now, but I have my bow, so I can kill all of them. Slowly. And get the experience for it. Then use that to eventually get tougher. Whoa, look at the airtime on that one. Good he didn't crater. Normally I would love to watch goblins kill themselves. But here, I only get the experience if I'm the one doing it. And I was going to write up this whole segment on how I have a bow and a sword doing equal damage. My strength and dexterity are equal, yet I can sometimes land shots on a tough enemy with the bow, but never do so with the sword. But then I looked it up, and apparently this particular creature is more vulnerable to arrows. So, oops. Not that the game tells you any of that. Someone probably figured it out by looking at the code. The point is, you can kill a lot of things with the bow until you can't, and it's really worth it for a lot of the game. Moving on, I can't move on, because I still can't join the new camp. So I have to level up to defeat the Rice Lord and his goons. Again, the hunger to level up and have better stats is as persistent as ever. So a hunting we will go. It does help that the map design is fantastic in this game. Even places you've been to, there can be platforms above them that you didn't know about. Branching paths, hidden alcoves. The map is very dense with content. Oh, and I caved in and adjusted the modern patch to increase the draw distance beyond what was authentic when it came out. Yeah, I think it's better being able to see more. It looks great, too. I mean, yes, it's dated, but the art direction is excellent. And it's kind of a rare look on the PC side, since graphics were moving along rapidly at the time, and didn't stop here long. So there aren't many games that look like this. I mean, is this the nicest 3D forest you've ever seen in a game from March 2001 or earlier? Okay, Need for Speed Porsche Unleashed had a pretty great forest, but that was all walled in. Maybe there were a couple PlayStation 2 titles that topped this before it came out, but there couldn't have been many. Well, I'm getting experience from hunting and leveling up, so time to hunt the most dangerous game. Hey, remember me? No, you wouldn't, because I loaded my game after you jumped me. Time for a preemptive strike. Now, when you attack people in Gothic with a melee weapon, you only knock them on the ground, then they get back up after a bit. But you can also coup de grace their asses and finish the job. Now, if you do this in public, people can freak out and guards might attack you, but there's no witnesses here. Now let's go trigger the ambush. Sure thing, buddy, I'll help you out. Lead the way.
I'm to send you regards from Bloodwind.
Well, I don't see Bloodwind around. Oh, he's running! It's only melee weapons that knock them down. Bows are usually lethal. Now, unfortunately, the game does not let me cut off his head so I can leave it in Bloodwind's bed, but you can't have everything. Hey, remember me? Oh, he's running too! Damn it! Yeah, see, I don't want to use the bow in public like this since that will kill him and bring the guards down on me. The guards allow melee fights sometimes. I haven't quite determined the pattern, but they stop being cool once you start killing people. Go figure. Yeah, there we go. Well, you get to live today. All right, I'm amped up. Let's go for the Rice Lords and his goons. Down they go, and the big man himself. The rice harvest is going to be well fertilized this season. Last man down. I don't think I could have done any of this without the bow. So the tyranny of the Rice Lord has ended. But I still can't join the camp. I killed 4 other people and they still won't let me join. What gives? Okay, I had to check a walkthrough at this point because I couldn't figure it out. The old camp gave me a clear path to joining. The swamp camp will take anybody, but I can't figure out the new camp. Well, apparently a guy named Mordrag gives you a ring to bring to the leader of the rogues to get an audience with him. But wait, I saw him at the old camp. He never gave me that option. Well, in order to unlock that option, you need to get assigned that task from Thoris here. But in order to get that, you have to tell him you want to join the old camp. Which I don't. Then you need to double down and insist after he tells you to get lost. So that means the only way to join the new camp is by sucking up to the old camp. Lame. Technically, that's not true, but the alternatives are nothing a new player would know to do. I mean, I have no problem pretending I want to join the old camp, but a new player has no reference to know that you're pretending and breaking away is an option after committing. So yeah, I think this is not great for new players. It seems unnecessarily limited here. Anyway, working backwards through this chain means Mordrag gives us an escort. Except there's no free ride because I already cleared everything out since I didn't know I had this option. You should have just been able to talk to him like the swamp camp guy. Alright, so it gives me his ring, and now I can pass to see Laris, the leader of the rogues.
The Brotherhood is planning something big. I want to know exactly what's going on there.
Okay. But what? Oh no. No! Oh my god. My last save was at the old camp. Not again. Caught me slipping. I wasn't saving every 2 minutes like I apparently should have been. Damn it. So now I get to do it all over again. You know, crap like this is part of why I usually don't play brand new games, but Gothic's getting me on the back end here. Okay, now I'll save and let's do it. Ouch, again. This is rough. Okay, I stopped recording here just in case that was triggering something. It wasn't, but I finally got it to work. He gave me a mission at the bar, so I talked to more people, and oh no. I'm locked. I can't do anything in the dialogue menu. Oh my god, let me load a game. Oh, now that's interesting. Our in-game camera gave up. It quit. Look at this. Now we're playing Resident Evil style. Okay, so don't talk to this guy. Don't talk to Laris if you can avoid it. This is making me paranoid the next person I talk to is going to give me another purgatory stare. Well, in another move that you wouldn't know about if you weren't trying to win the favor of the old camp, Diego sends me to the old mines to pick up a supply list as a test of faith. The atmosphere here is awesome. There's the giant mine shaft, the haphazard walkways leading down to it, and the music switches to just percussive beats that sound foreboding. It keeps going down and down, too. Which means we should talk about another bug. See, Gothic has what may be the best bug I've ever seen in a game. Here's how it works. Whoa, I'm high up in the mountains here. Time for a leap of faith. Strafe! Okay, we're good. Yeah, if you sidestep before you hit the ground, it negates all your momentum and you land safely. I mean, falling damage will kill you. See? Watch me walk off this dam. But if I sidestep, it's all good. This is such a good bug. Again, this game had multiple patches, but the official ones never fixed this. I'm pretty sure the developers knew about it, but they also realized that if they fixed it, then players wouldn't install the new patch, because then they would be taking this away from them. So they never did. When I first played the game, I had the best experience with this, because I started exploring some of the mountains and got way up high. Strafe! Hey, look at that! I haven't seen that before. Yeah, look at this. I ended up in a place you're not supposed to go until way later. And it looks like it, too. This is awesome. I love the idea of heading off the beaten path and instead of finding dirt or something, you end up in an area that's way more exotic with enemies that will kill you instantly. It just leaves you wondering about what's in the game. It can be rare to have this kind of feeling in games. So, back to the mines. Alley-oop. Strafe! This is a deep mine. Well, we get the report, climb back out, which takes a while. I kind of like that. And deliver it to the new camp, because fuck the old camp. Oh wait, Laris adds items to the supply list and tells me to go ahead and deliver it back to the old camp as planned, so he can send men to go hijack the shipment on the road.
Do it.
Works for me. So am I in the gang now or what? Join the new camp, alright. Hell yeah. Oh no. This is getting ridiculous, guys. I'm gonna stop showing all the bugs unless they're special. I didn't remember this many. Okay, several conversation attempts later, we have our new armor, we have a bow, and we're geared up. This opens up so much of the map, since now I can tackle medium enemies. I mean, we do have a main quest line, but it pays off to just kill everything in sight, because again, the game keeps you hungry to level up. I will say the process of looting all these bodies is getting kind of old though, but there really are gameplay advantages to this. I'm absolutely going to be able to trade in all these claws and furs for something useful later on. Plus, remember how I said you won't run out of food anytime soon? Well, that's because a lot of animals you hunt give you meat. Then later you can find a frying pan and cook it all up to eat later for health. Though this part is tedious too, since you have to fry it over and over again. And it starts making me hungry. Thankfully, you can do this once, then be set for hours. But this part starts feeling MMO-ish also. Not a fan. Seeing more of the landscape is kind of its own reward too. The forest remains great. And this is what I want to see. Some rickety bridge leading over a mountain stream with a cave full of goblins waiting to kill me on the other side. Whoops, I don't know what this is, but it looks like a good place to get killed. Stuff like this is the sort of thing I think of for a classic fantasy fairy tale world. And it doesn't get old with me. This is solid. I love the verticality of the hills going up and up, too. Seriously, the map to this game is such a home run. Now, some may be turned off by the dated graphics, but it's honestly a unique vibe. Except for a few spots, by and large, you're not seeing cubic platforms everywhere. It's rolling polygonal hills. Also, the simplicity of the landscape by modern standards actually gives a nice feel to it. Like somebody went and mowed the lawn of the entire colony and turned this all into a big golf course. It also makes your eyes focus rapidly on what's important or not, and visually easier to process than a lot of modern games. It's not that I don't like modern graphics too. It's just that coming back, I feel like they're not a pure upgrade to this. You get something from the aesthetics here too. Plus, this has to be easier for developers. I would have zero complaints if more 3D games went for a dated look like this with good art direction. It seems like it's mostly just boomer shooters and imitation PlayStation horror games doing that nowadays though. Oh, and something that threw me off when I first played this at night? The game kept pushing me to keep playing because I would be walking along, then look. You see that glimmer of light off in the distance? Somebody must have a fire going on there. I should check it out. Then I'd get there and never be able to find it. It took me a couple of tries before I realized that the level of detail model was being swapped out, and that texture had some light on it. But there was nothing in the forest itself. See, look, you can see the effect in the day here. That's sneaky, but it looks good. Well, seeking out every enemy you can handle and cutting them down is very satisfying, knowing they won't respawn. This also got me thinking. Kharinis is a contained ecosystem because nothing gets out of that barrier alive. The game incentivizes you to kill everything in sight because we need that XP, but we're very clearly over-predating. We're way too successful as a predator. You know how the woolly mammoth and the saber-toothed tiger are extinct now since early man killed them off? Well, I've heard that was probably the case for every big mammal that went extinct from 10 to 50,000 years ago. See, even if we only hunted them a few times a year, if they had long gestation periods, we eventually caught up to them and just wiped them out over thousands of years. You know, I appreciated that in Alien Covenant, how they landed on one planet and all the wildlife was absent.
No birds, no animals, nothing.
Because I've always thought that the xenomorph is way too good as a predator and has a stupid fast gestation time. It's its own worst enemy. It would overrun any ecosystem. And yeah, that's what happened in the movie. And that's what's happening here. But it's fun though. Actually, even without us hunting, I think we're watching an apocalypse in slow motion. Because the old camp gets all its goods from the outside world in exchange for ore. It doesn't produce anything, really. It just trades. The new camp also mines ore and mostly trades or steals from others. Okay, sure, they have the rice paddies, but that's a joke. How many people is that going to feed? 2? Maybe? And the swamp camp just grows weed, which it trades with the other camps. So except for whatever they can scrounge and hunt for, all food and supplies are coming in from the outside. Well, what if they run out of ore? Or what if the king wins the war and stops needing so much? Well, a lot of this land looks like it could be fertile, but I don't expect a colony full of convicts to harmoniously work all the zoning out and switch to farming smoothly. There'll be war, loads dead, and maybe the survivors could transition to something sustainable. So Kharinis was always on borrowed time, even if it doesn't look like it. From here, you can tell the game kind of doesn't care what camp you joined, since you end up working for the swamp camp regardless. The only difference being they have to pay you if you're from one of the other camps. Time to see the leader. Yeah, this is pretty much what I expected. And look, the first woman in the game. I guess minus the cutscene. This is a prison colony. Normally the incarceration rate of men to women is about 9 to 1. So these are the first 3 women out of what? 100 men now? I don't know. The ratio isn't too far off. Plus, for women, I would think the certainty of being thrown to the wolves like this as your sentence might cut down the crime rate somewhat. Well, the leader wants me to go get some magic artifact for him. I get there and a cultist is already there who tries to kill me.
Only me alone! Die!
I come back to the leader and he says the weed isn't getting him high enough. So his alchemist needs us to harvest the mine crawlers in the mine because they have a secretion that will really get the job done. This is probably the spookiest part of the game. They did a good job here. I like how they feel like some sort of alien hive the deeper you go. And look, it's the queen herself. And once again, the bow is our friend here, since we can just stand here shooting. Yeah, most of these aren't landing, and this is tedious. But look at what happens when you try to use a melee weapon. Yeah, death. That's what happens. So we're just going to count down with the bow. Yeah, you know, that's something else I have to add to what the game is doing. Gothic is a hard game that can be exploited to not be so hard. You see this every once in a while in RPGs. that's usually a good feeling, like you're outsmarting the game. But in the case of Gothic, I feel like it was designed around that concept. So it just keeps popping up and you're frequently wondering if you're playing the game correctly. I mean, this doesn't feel like the right way to be playing, but the alternatives are not obvious. Oh well, we bring back the Queen's Egg so now the leader can get really high. He does, and it's such a good trip it almost kills him. He has a vision of some orcs, so the cultists send a party to go find some orcs and send you after them. They're almost all killed by orcs. Shocker. Except this guy whom I save, but he goes crazy 10 minutes later and tries to kill me.
Die, infidel!
I'm sensing a pattern here. We come back and the leader is dead after all.
Iberian woke up for a short time while you were out.
Did he say anything?
Yes, he said that the sleeper is not what we think he is. We must try not to awaken him again. Shortly before he died, he placed all his hopes on the escape plan of the magicians of water.
So they were barking up the wrong tree this whole time. We should blow up the barrier instead. Yeah, I was always down with that. Now, I do have a couple criticisms here. The first doesn't really apply to my game, but if you were to join the swamp camp instead of the new camp, from what I've seen, all you do is put on cultist clothes and that's it. No, you're not special. If you join the swamp camp, you should have to shave your head and get inked up like everybody else. The swamp camp is a way of life. My other criticism is I think there was some missing narrative here, because we go from the sleeper is not what we think he is, then the next time I hear about the sleeper, I'm saying it's some sort of demon.
Their god seems to be an evil archdemon.
That's a jump. I was looking for an explanation, but I didn't hear it. So the swamp camp has been worshipping a demon this whole time. Oops. Well, the water mages have chores for us, giving us more of an excuse to explore the land. I'm also strong enough now to start picking off a few of the old camp guards in the wilderness. Gotta send a message. There's so much to explore. I really like how there is just cool stuff in the world you don't have to go to. It seems like that can be a rarer thing in games now. Like this coastal tower here. There's nothing here you have to come here for. But it keeps going and going and you get gangbanged by skeletons the deeper you go. Look at this crap. He's pulling karate kicks on me. Finding cool stuff when you stray off the beaten path is underrated in games. Plus, the cove at the bottom looks nice. Speaking of nice, the music. The music is pretty good overall, though you'll hear this overworld theme way too much in the course of the game. They really needed 5 tracks here instead of 1. I like several of the tracks. A lot of them have these dark but nice and fitting tones. Also, this music is a bit of an oddity. When I first tried to extract it from the game, I discovered this was made for a direct music format. Yeah, you know how DirectX is a suite of APIs? Direct3D is the big one, but there's been Direct Draw, Direct Input, Direct Sound, and so on. Well, one of them was Direct Music. This was during the days when CD space was still at a premium, so it was similar to MIDI music, but the problem with MIDI music is it was dependent on the audio hardware the user had at the time, and that often sucked. So the answer to this was just to include the instrument sounds the composer was using, and let the software process it all to the notes, so it saves a lot of disk space, but the music still sounds the way it's supposed to. Well, there are several solutions for this. For example, Unreal and Deus Ex use module tracker music to do this. Well, Direct Music was Microsoft's answer to this, that never caught on. But Gothic was one of the exceptions. Besides Gothic 2, I don't even know of other games that use this. But I imagine there must have been some. Oh, and you can sometimes hear Direct Music get stuck on a note when loading different zones. Well, the plot advances, and while I was out finding magic ingredients for the water mages to blow up the ore mound, there was a cave-in at the old mine, shutting it down. This made the leader of the old camp panic he was going to lose power, so he launched a raid on the new camp's mine through a hidden passage. Oh, and while he was at it, he killed all the fire mages in his own camp because they were talking back to him. The water mages say we needed the fire mages to help blow up the barrier, so now we're completely fucked. But we can go talk to Xardas if we want. A crazy old mage turned necromancer. Do what you want. Nothing matters. Well, first things first. Let's kill as many people from the old camp as we can. They've boarded up the gates on both sides. Damn it. But we can still take out the guards. Yeah, bye, Bloodwind. Blah. Diego's cool. He doesn't mind if I kill all his colleagues, so I don't need to kill him too. Plus, he stopped feeding me that line about the old camp being the best. Okay, now let's check the old mine. I think this part of the game may have been underdeveloped because it doesn't look caved in. Everything seems exactly as it was, except now everyone's trying to kill me on sight. Thanks to the bug, I can dive down the mine shaft with my axe out, ready to kill everyone. That would scare me if somebody came at me like that. But yeah, this part is off because a couple enemies are invulnerable. So I guess I'm not supposed to get revenge for the new camp. But I should still kill them for experience, right? Wow, look at the new camp mine. Was this a gas attack? Literally everyone here is dead where they stood. This is also where we kind of start going off the deep end as far as the inventory goes. Because yes, you can loot everyone. This guy has an awesome axe. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, even though I recommend the bow, since I've played this game before, I remember that by the end, you have to choose to specialize in either magic or melee combat, or else you can screw yourself in the game. So I've been trying to develop melee combat on the side. That's pretty weak. I mean, there's a lot of ways to screw yourself in the game, but not if you use common sense. I mean, except for the bugs. This is the only one I feel like it's a trap in waiting, and you're not told about it until you're 90% into the game. I do not miss that kind of game design. But yeah, my inventory is out of control now. It makes me dread having to trade. Especially since this bug shows up sometimes where some of your inventory becomes transparent. I saw this in the past only on AMD cards, but this is on an Nvidia one, so go figure. But again, if you're a klepto, you can juice your trading even more by raiding these blacksmithing chests and crafting swords to sell with them. I didn't realize it at the time, but this is totally overkill. I have way more than I need now. The problem is 75% of this game, I'm spending everything I have on skills or more equipment. So it's only late game you realize it was too much. Speaking of late game additions, you finally get fast travel now. Sort of. A few points in the plot give you runes that let you teleport to some of the camps. And you can also buy speed potions at a cost that let you run 1 or 2 minutes depending on which one. Yeah, let's add this one to the list. Okay, this may seem clunky like so many other things in this game, and it is, but after much deliberation, I honestly think this is as close to the best option for this game for fast travel. Maybe a lot of games. See, the knee-jerk response is to think this is stupid. You should be able to fast travel anywhere you've been to so you can accomplish objectives faster. The problem is, for me, this calls into question why I'm even playing the game. The more I'm fast traveling to go from place to place, the more a game feels like a chore to me, where I'm just marking off objectives. I'm playing an RPG because I want a big grand adventure, not to go down a checklist like I'm out running errands and have to go from one store to the next. I had to stop and think, is there any game where I fast travel constantly, then by the end of it that made the game feel better? I was struggling to think of one. But see, it's also not as simple as just removing fast traveling, because the game needs to be designed for it. If it's not scenic, or is annoying to get through, or you're backtracking for the 50th time, then of course you want to skip it. But then that kind of means the game world, or else the game design is the problem. I think Gothic's solution of letting you have travel options that take some investment, only after you've really been around the world, is the best compromise. I mean, the ideal solution would be to just never have the game world wear out its welcome. But if that's not possible, then this is the next best thing. It might feel more tedious walking more, but I think it adds something if it's done right. Knowing that the map was designed for the player to not be able to skip it, I think means mappers put more effort into making it good, and it really feels that way here. Well, on to see Xardas. He has a gauntlet of golems you have to defeat in different ways. A hammer for the stone golem, a fireball for the ice golem, and an ice blast for the fire golem. Wait, no. That didn't do anything. The fire golem kills me. What about wave of ice? No, that doesn't do anything either. I had to look this up too. It looks like I needed ice bolt. I haven't been playing much Magic, so now I need to load or hike all the way back to buy ice bolt scrolls to take them out. And buy a lot too, because I wasted another trip because I only bought 4. Ice block and wave of ice aren't good enough. Of course they're not. This is what I mean. The entire game is like this. Well, we don't make it to Xardas. Instead, we get to his demon doorman. And I guess we should talk about the voice acting. A lot of it is pretty good, even though they reuse the actors a bunch. Ironically, I think the weakest link is the main character himself. He has, I don't know how to call it, a staged neutral tone to everything.
The entire cave system is teeming with orcs. They killed all of the Templars. Baal Lucore and myself survived, but suddenly Baal Lucore went mad.
The cadence reminds me of a delivery I saw elsewhere.
Excuse me, sir. Our car is making odd sounds. Could you help us out?
Well, in this scene, he is talking out loud to express one side of a telepathic conversation with the demon.
Perfection? I'm worthy? If that's the case, I'd like to speak to your master now. Counter evidence? What kind of counter evidence? A rune? A rune for me? Well, then I'll accept the rune of teleportation as a sign of worthiness.
And the Jill sandwich. On to Xardas. Xardas is grumpy. Says the other mages are idiots, and you need to defeat the sleeper to lower the barrier and go talk to some orc shaman.
An orc shaman is hardly likely to be keen on talking to me.
Do you want me to help you or do you not?
Well, yes, but...
Then never question my words again.
Oh, he's one of those. Right. Well, talking to an orc goes about as well as you can expect.
Friend on Urshak, come Ulomolo. Stranger wear Ulomolo, then stranger no die.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. You're a good cartographer.
Well, long story short, actually, I'm not sure. I only understood half of what he was talking about. You're supposed to do a bunch of questing with the orcs. But why do that when you can just kill everyone? Oh, the gate's jammed, but you can exploit it by using a spell to turn into a bloodfly, fly over, then resume the killing. Okay, all orcs dead. And apparently I wasn't supposed to do that, but if the game wanted me to play nice with a bunch of orcs, they sent the wrong guy. Plus, what's with the change of heart? The game requires me to kill every orc I encounter prior to this. And look at how many orc dogs they unleashed on me.
Orcs are not animals, as many people think.
Well, they're savages. Oh, and now that we're far along in the story, let's step back for a second. The problem is we're trapped inside the barrier. One faction has no intention to solve the problem and will lose all power and status if the problem is solved. One faction is working on a solution that's not going to work, but they don't know that. And one faction is working on a solution that will actively make the problem worse, but they don't know that either. And some crazy old guy in a tower that everyone ignores actually has a real solution, but doesn't have the resources to enact it. Does this not feel like real politics to you? The only thing that's missing is a faction that is pretending to solve the problem and knows they're not. Then we would have the full spectrum. Well, on to the Temple of the Sleeper. Despite this being close to the climax, this is kind of the worst part of the game. I just think everything here is kind of ugly. I was praising the outside, but the interiors leave a lot to be desired. This got me thinking. I think there might only be two good ways to handle a dungeon. Scary or mystical. Scary works. If this was really dark and I only had the torch with horrors crawling around in the distance, that works. Mystical is trickier, where you might be coming across ancient wonders, lavish architecture, puzzles and magical illusions, that sort of thing. Anything else, you're just kind of trudging around a bunch of ugly ruins, which is what this is. We're also seeing some limitations of DirectX 7 lighting, I'm assuming. Oh, and to save myself some emails, there is a DirectX 11 mod for this, but they changed a lot. The outdoor lighting is different, though I can't tell if it's better or worse at a glance. They have more accurate shadows, but they twitch around a bunch, which I frankly find distracting. Yeah, and look, there's some banding in the lighting here. Also, they add effects like with the water here, but this doesn't work. It's like two competing illusions for flowing water that don't work together. And the mod just straight up got rid of the web texture here, so I don't know. Anyway, back to the original, a couple rooms in the temple look cool. The entrance is good. So is this giant chamber. A big lava room is always a classic option. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Did you see that? The game tried to kill me there. Yeah, it never stops being clunky. Never. And the orc boss in here is invincible, so we need to backtrack out of here and come back later. Gotta get some more mileage out of our ugly temple. I am glad the game explicitly tells me he is invincible and I should leave, because this is exactly the sort of thing I would think is a bug or would be second guessing myself on. Wrapping up loose ends, Xardas helps us upgrade our armor by telling us to swim to the bottom of his old tower in a lake here. Now oh! Hard crash! Keeping me on my toes! My god, I could play brand new games if I wanted this. Okay, we're not swimming that way. As I was saying, in some ways, this is the most terrifying part of the game. Trying to swim down with limited air with this camera work and these controls? Terror. Well, we get the good armor, then Xardas says to take the Sword of Destiny or whatever and charge it by draining all the magic out of the ore mound. Should be easy, since I'm trusted. Yeah, everyone's pissed. Let's teleport out. Zoop. Now, we could go and finish the game right now. But what is this that we found in the old tower? A rune to teleport to the old camp. You know, the boarded up old camp? Surprise! Yeah, with all my upgrades now, I'm close to unstoppable. This reminds me of the Odyssey, where Odysseus and his son slay all the suitors at the end. I actually thought that was kind of overkill, since everybody thought he was dead, and it's not like all the suitors had ill intent. But I guess that's how it goes when you're king. You have to kill everybody just to be sure. Hey, I changed my mind! I've decided to pay the 10 ore! You still want the 10 ore? It's right here! Just come and get it! Yeah, none of this is necessary, but the game lets you do it anyway. I guess this part isn't really in the spirit of Christmas. I don't know, just pretend they're elves or something. Well, looks like my work here is done. Let's finish this. We make it to the core of the temple. Xardas shows up out of nowhere and has a stroke, I guess. Then here is the sleeper! Behold! Well, it is impressive. This is exactly what I want to see for a boss. But wait a minute. The sleeper is a giant ancient bug thing luring its victims underground and using a lot of telepathic projection. So is this it? This looks and sounds a lot like it. Gothic is medieval it. Well, we don't attack it directly. Instead, we're supposed to stab 5 orc hearts as part of a ritual. Whatever, you know how these games are. Also, one of the cult members is trying to stop us, and his disciples are mostly ignoring us unless we get close? That's kind of odd, but oh! He constantly casts this fire spell that stun locks me, and I can't do anything for long periods at a time. My only option is to run away. How am I supposed to handle this? He's immune to arrows, immune to crossbow bolts. Well, he got a little glitched, and I was able to sneak up towards him using the pillar as cover because I got lucky and he ran there for some reason. Then, once I was close enough, he still stun locks the living hell out of me, but I'm able to swipe at him during the second of free action I have in between the constant stunning. This game is janky to the bitter end. There we go. 5 hearts. Down goes it. Yeah, I guess it's being sucked back into hell or oblivion. I'm not sure. And then it's just a black screen with a spoken sentence or two about how the barrier is down. Then the credits. Lame. Yes, Gothic joins the ranks of classic PC games with garbage endings. I mean, the Sleeper cinematic was good, but we needed to see the barrier come down. The prisoners dropping their pickaxes. Everyone running for the border. Yeah, like that, but more violent. Oh well. So that's the game, but I guess I should run through some of the others quick. Gothic 2 is kind of more the same, and a lot of people like it more, but I like the world and how cohesive the original is more. Plus, the big plot of 2 is all around dragons, which, I don't know. I find dragons kind of boring. They feel like a downgrade to me after Pennywise is the villain. I did like the premise of Reign of Fire, where dragons have taken over the world and it's a post-apocalyptic scenario, but the movie was kind of so-so. Gothic 3, my memories are blurry on, but I remember it kind of overstayed its welcome. I liked the grassy wooded area, but I didn't like the extensive ice canyons and the desert. Also, the boars in 3 are some of the worst enemies in the game. From there, Piranha Bytes is one of those companies, or was one of those companies, that sort of keeps making the same game over and over, but with different spins on it. Out of their games, these are the ones I've played. Okay, I guess these 2 weren't by Piranha Bytes, but whatever. I'd say Gothic is still my favorite out of the ones I've played. After that, it would probably be Risen, which is a lot like Gothic, except more Mediterranean. If you want the Gothic experience but just can't stomach all the bugs and the jank, Risen is your next best choice. And of course, Gothic is getting a remake soon-ish. Now, I have no doubt the gameplay and quality of life will be an upgrade over the original. I mean, how could it not? But that said, the tone feels off to me. I mean, right off the bat, I can tell they're desaturating the image a little bit. So the game from 2001 has better color than the remake. Why do companies have to do this? There's also a vignette filter going on, but maybe they'll let you turn that off. Beyond that though, I know I'm being picky, but as someone who spent a lot of time in the forest, the original game gives me kind of a fairy tale setting, but it's in the fall, so the grass and trees are browning. I mean, yeah, this is DirectX 7 lighting, but this feels reasonably natural for overcast lighting. And guess what? It's always cloudy in Gothic. The new game makes me feel like the soil is extremely rocky, like not much can grow here. It just doesn't feel like it can support all the life you see the way the original could. I feel like this is in the Himalayas or something. Wait, no, the Himalayas can be full of life too. I guess a rougher part of the Himalayas, where it's so high altitude there's not enough air for more plants to grow? Yeah, more like that. It's like somebody took this landscape, dropped some grass and tree models on top of it, and called it Gothic. The original is a German game. Isn't it supposed to be modeled after German wilderness? I don't know, the atmosphere just feels all wrong to me. Like it's counterfeit Gothic with a bigger budget. Awards! Best Bug? Best Game with Maximum Jank? And Game that ruined the Elder Scrolls for me. Yeah, I better explain that. Here's the thing. Morrowind came out a year after this, and it's not like it was bad, but it was just going the wrong direction for me. Hell, let's compare it to Morrowind. We have respawning, enemies auto-leveling, equipment degradation, way less voice acting, cliff racers, and a lot of that continued into the other Elder Scrolls games. Sure, they improved some things, but not the core mechanics, at least for me. The Elder Scrolls didn't make me feel as motivated with the story. And I hate respawning auto-leveling enemies. It's like you're on a treadmill. It just doesn't feel as special. Now, their game maps are kind of amazing, but for my taste, I felt like that's kind of it. Okay, I'm dead serious. Having played Gothic first, the thing that stood out to me the most about Morrowind when I played it was how amazing its water looked. I had never seen water look that good in a game prior. Anyway, I'm really the minority opinion here, since only 1 billion people have played Elder Scrolls games. And the irony is, I don't think Gothic is the best game ever either. But I do think it was heading in the right direction. So back to the question, what is Gothic doing here? Well, I think I figured it out. Because Gothic 2 and 3 share a lot of gameplay, but Gothic 1 landed with me more, I'm forced to conclude that it's the writing and atmosphere that make it stand out so much to me. Which are very subjective things. What can I say? Prison is a strong motivator. That said, these core gameplay mechanics here really, really help support the game. This is the part I wish the industry would steal from. Instead, it largely feels like it's running the other direction. The jank, while memorable, I don't think helped a damn thing. I don't like it, I won't miss it, and honestly, if this had responsive controls and a slick inventory system, I think it would have cut at least 4 hours off my gameplay, in a good way. I'm not kidding, it was that prevalent. The only positive thing I would say about it is that it made the combat feel more dangerous. But there are other ways of doing that without having stick-in-the-mud controls. But like I said, I think Gothic is the best maximum jank game I've ever played. I could be forgetting titles though, so that's a contentious award. Like if you were to play a really great game using your elbows, the experience would leave you with a lot of mixed feelings. It's fantastic and rough for me to recommend to anyone. Seriously, I must have had bugs stall the game on me at least 20 times playing this. Maybe 30. It feels like it was made by a brilliant but permanently drunk artist. That's the episode. Merry Gothic Christmas. Even though this is more of a fall game than a winter game. Whatever. Blop. Blop. Blop, blop. Blop.